Hi, Clark Mooneyham coming to you again. Last time I said I'd show you the finished version of my arrow shooter. The first one we had was kind of crude, and I had made the other gun to have the archery release for the trigger. So we kept the same basic pattern that we used for that golf ball gun. And what I'm trying to do here is make a gun that you can easily convert from shooting arrows to shooting golf balls just by taking these four nuts off and switching the front ends out. So we'll show you that a little bit later in the video. But first, we'll take some shots with the arrows before we change it over. But I want to show you all the features of this first. This was my first attempt at doing any wood burning. I happened to come up with this pattern just from seeing a toy laying on the floor in my house, and so I thought the spider web would work out nice. So on the stock I had a hole from the pine knot there, and I burned in a little spider for decoration right there, and on the other side I put in a bigger one. Now what I found out about the wood burning, that if you go real deep on your grooves, when you go to put the polyurethane over the top of it, what's going to happen, the polyurethane will run in the grooves and it'll develop a skin over the top of it when it starts drying, so that it won't ever really dry out real good. So I had 3 coats on when I discovered that it wasn't drying, and what I had to do was I ended up putting it in the driveway every day for a week. So when it's almost 100 degrees out, to get it to fully dry out. So I had planned on using 5 coats of polyurethane on it, but I just stopped at 3 because it took so long to dry it out. So if you're going to do any kind of wood burning on your stuff and want to put polyurethane on it, don't go very deep on the grooves or you'll be having a lot of trouble. So you can see we've got the trigger set up just like the one last time. Now the reason this bottom part was longer, I thought maybe I needed a rest for the end of the arrow to set up on. I thought maybe it would set like that. But as it came out, the trigger is setting up higher anyway, so that the end of the arrow didn't touch that. So and it stayed in place without it, so that probably didn't need to be put there anyway. So I could have just shortened it back up to there and been all right. But you see, we got the design on here for the hand grip, and also put some little grooves in there. And I had the same problem with that drying, just like I did on the other. So basically, I've got a 3/4 inch piece of plywood in here to give me width to put the fingers in, like that, when you hold it. And then I did groove out on the main board a little bit, give me more room too. So it is really comfortable to hold just like that. Easy to work the trigger too. So the main difference between this and our traditional golf ball shooter front end is the front here. The way I designed that, your first step, you want to determine where you want your arrow at, and determine the size of your arrow. And you drill a hole right where you want the arrow at. Plus you want to use the size of your arrow and add about 1/16, so it's plenty loose. And then I drilled out a place to put a brush on there. After I drilled the hole, I just put the arrow through, and you have to look at where your bowstring is going to run. If the bowstring runs across, of course your slot for the arrow is going to have to line up with that. If you got 3 feathers, then you just put the arrow up there and roughly mark where the feathers would be, and you just cut the release for the feathers so they can go through. So you have like 2 positive locators and then one with the brush. You just drill 2 or 3 holes the size of the plastic on the brush to make a slot, and you can fit it right in there like that, and it'll hold the arrow right in place, just like that. So really the front end is the only difference between the golf ball shooter and the arrow shooter. So I made this one narrower because I wanted to see if it was going to lose any efficiency from the wide front end. The wide front end would keep the rubber stretched all the way to the end of the stroke. And actually, it should result in faster speed on the arrow, and in the future we'll probably get the chronograph out and do some tests on it. So right now we're just gonna take a few shots with the arrows. I'm really pleased with the way the accuracy has come out on it, and it looks just excellent. I've gotten all kinds of good comments on it. I can't compare it to the one we did before, because last weekend we gave that one away. Okay, so take a good look, get some good close-ups of it all around so they can see how it's put together and everything. Do a close-up on where the arrow goes through. Okay, around the end of the 1300s, somewhere around 1380 to 1400, there was a guy named William Tell in Switzerland. The governor was from Austria, I believe, and he put a pole up in the town square with his hat on top of it, and everybody was supposed to bow when they went by his hat. Well, William Tell didn't bow when he saw the hat, and the story goes that the governor made him shoot apple off the top of his son's head. So we're going to try to duplicate the William Tell. Alright, take number 2. I got it then. Got it. So we saved the we saved the kid, but let's see if we can pop the balloon. So, do not try this at home, especially if you're not a redneck. Oh. Okay. Okay, so don't go shooting paint cans with your arrows unless you want to spend 5 or 10 minutes cleaning the arrows up. I kind of figured that would happen, but I just had to try it once just because I never done it before. So like I say, one of the main points of this whole project was to build one gun that I could switch from arrows to shooting golf balls in just a couple minutes by changing the front fork. So all you have to do is take off the 4 nuts on the front end. You could use wing nuts if you want to. They cost just a little bit more. If you want to speed up the changeover process a little bit. The polyurethane is probably going to want to stick a little bit, but you can just tap it off. And just put your washers on. Really, you don't even have to have the nuts on that tight if you're using a flange mounting system like I'm doing on here. Actually, we'll just go with finger tight and see how he did. Okay, like I said, last weekend we gave a gun away, and I just finished this front end up that very morning. So I haven't had but one chance to shoot it. When I tried it out the first time, I thought it was shooting off to the right side. And that may have been because this pouch here, I put a hole in the sides instead of one in the middle. So I'm thinking maybe what it's doing, the ball's shifting over into one hole about halfway up to the fork and going off to the side that way. But what I want to do is try to set up a shot with the camera behind the gun and have it lined up with the target and see if you can see where you think it's going off to the right. Maybe it won't do it today, but the other. Can you? Okay, we're gonna try and see where this ball is going when I pull the string. The pouch seems to be twisting a little counterclockwise. I'm not sure why. But let's see if it goes straight with the beam of Something's pulling it way off to the right. I think the next thing I'll do is probably do a redesign on the pouch. Just put one hole in the center and see if we can straighten it up a little bit.